Marine Fighter Attack Squadron 121 would be sending a total of 16 two-seater F-18D night attack Hornets to the Persian Gulf to be used as fast FAC aircraft. This is the story of the Green Knights in Operation Desert Storm. The McDonnell Douglas F-18D night attack Hornet was predominantly used by the US Marine Corps as a fast FAC aircraft. Okay, let's unpack that statement a little bit. A night attack Hornet is a special version for the Marines, where the space in the back was for the WISO, Weapons Sensor Officer, instead of the flight controls on a Navy F-18D. Having a WISO station in the back, operated by a fast FAC, would allow for a much better control of attack aircraft. Speaking of which, this guy is a fast FAC. A forward air controller guides attack aircraft into kill boxes, usually a 30 by 30 mile area, which was shortened to 15 by 15 miles over Kuwait. And they use alphanumeric designators to assign kill boxes. The FAC in the back of the Hornet would carry a kill zone chart, and could direct queued attack aircraft such as the AV-8Bs, A6Es and single-seat Hornets to the kill zones. This concept was still relatively new in the Gulf, and the D-Hornet's role as a command and control aircraft, as well as a reconnaissance platform, was further tweaked and refined throughout the conflict. The Marine Corps D-Hornets would be using the ANAAR-50 NAV FLIR pod, which had a wider field of view and was initially introduced to help pilots during nighttime at low level. However, aviators preferred NVDs over this pod. Apparently this pod was used in the Gulf due to the shortages of the next pod mentioned. Meet the ANAAS-38 targeting FLIR, nicknamed Nighthawk. The pilot can laze targets, however, to see lasers from other systems, he would need another pod. The AN-ASQ-173 to detect lasers designated by, for example, guys on the ground or another Hornet. It was only until the Lightning pod was introduced did aircrews actually have the ability to see everything in one pod. Now let's head to the Gulf with VMFA-121. Initially 6 aircraft from the Green Knights would be going from MCAS El Toro to Sheikh Issa Air Base in Bahrain on January 7th, 1991. They'd been carrying 2 AIM-9s on either wingtip, sometimes with a centerline 250-pound bomb if needed, as well as 2 3/4-inch white phosphorus rockets. With these WP rockets, they'll be able to mark targets for the AV-8Bs, Intruders and Legacy Hornets. This initial group of 6 would be followed by several more aircraft, and by the end of January, the Green Knights would have a total of 12 planes and 204 Marines, with 34 pilots and backseaters in the 30. When the Green Knights had received the F-18D in 1989, they were comprised of mainly experienced aviators, and had begun training to integrate FACs into their training, as there was a slight hint that a possible war was coming over Kuwait, which, as you all know now, eventually happened. They would take off from Sheikh Issa and fly off to kill zones, with the flight having primary and secondary goals. Primary goals were to destroy targets on the MEF targeting list, and secondary goals was to let the FAC do its thing. After 2 30-minute stations with 1 refueling trip in the middle to a Marine Corps KC-130, they returned back to Sheikh Issa. In these missions, they made control up to 21 strikes by other jets. Visibility for the FACs also became a slight problem, as the Iraqi equipment was strewn out everywhere. Some real targets, some fake, some camouflaged, all masked by a dusty climate. And after Hussein lit the oil fires, a very smoky environment came into play. As the Marines had no photo-recce aircraft and the Air Force's RF-4Cs were elsewhere, the F-18Ds brought back some excellent intelligence during their FAC missions. Now let's hear from a few missions from these Hornet guys. On the 4th of February, an F-18D flying as Combat 41 found an armoured column off the northeastern road roughly 7 miles northeast of Al Wafra oil field. A pair of AV-8Bs had just gone in with mixed results. The Hornet dove, marked the target with white phosphorus rockets and pop flares. Then 2 more Harriers rolled in, whilst a different road lit up with AAA trying to shoot them down. They bombed the AAA muzzle flashes with cluster bombs and hit the convoy with 50-50 mixed results. Now, it wasn't always the FAC locating targets first. Once a Harrier was flying above an urban area at 15,000 feet. He spotted something in the shadows of a Kuwaiti police station and dove, which turned out to be a BMP. He pulled out of his dive at 6,000 feet and got an FAC to call out the target to other Harriers, and they made a joint effort to get the BMP column. On Thursday, 21st of February, a Hornet survived a hit from a MANPADS, piloted by Major Ken Bode, call sign Cheyenne, and a Wizzo who was a former F4S Rio John Scanlan. On that particular day, there was a lot of Iraqis out, 4 tanks and 8 artillery pieces 45 miles north of Kuwait City, heading southbound. No attack aircraft were up for the next 30 minutes, so the 2 FAC Hornets decided to take matters into their own hands. They discussed and briefed each other up on a strafing plan before rolling in from 10,000 feet down to 1,500. He put the nose to the ocean and climbed back up to 10,000 feet, and the other FAC inspected the stricken plane. But it wasn't stricken at all, just the turkey feathers had been mangled up. They shut down the right engine and landed back at the base. If you want to see the war from the Harrier guy's perspective, you should watch this video right here about the Marine Corps AV-8Bs in the Gulf. Thank you for watching and have a great day.